Hey everybody, it's me, Beth Maitland with Drama Queen Bee Quilt Studio, and today I just wanted to sit and chat and sew a little bit as we work on the Volume 9 Roxy's Journal of Stitchery little books. They're calling it, I think they're calling it Textile Tales or something like that, but it's Volume 9, and my cover is what I'm working on today, and then I'll show you a couple of ideas I have for the inside pages. My book is Le Moulin Rouge, and it is not the movie. It is about the life story of Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. And it's about his short but amazing life, and I decided to do my book based on one of my favorite reads. Now, I haven't read it in years, so I went online and I looked around and I found a 1950s copy at a used bookstore online. So I've ordered it and it's going to be shipped next week. So I won't get it in time to show you with this video, but I'm employing several French kind of elements from, I'm not fortunate like European stitchers and my Australian friends that are stitchers that have access to all these beautiful French fabrics and Old English fabrics and fabrics from the 1800s and even sometimes the 1700s. Rachel finds amazing things with some of the antique dealers and textile people that she deals with. So I had to sort of make my own way. And it's all right. It's all good. But I had to use what I had on hand, and I'm showing you that I used a piece of linen for the inside cover. I used a piece of serviette. It has on four sides. It has a hem and a little bit of vintage embroidery, and then the top was torn, and I used other elements for something else. But I'm not following the video with my narration very well. I'm getting way ahead of myself. But I did the rough edge. I folded over this little tab and sewed that down. And I have started stitching the inside cover to the outside cover with various methods, whip stitch and just running stitch. And this is, I've cut a piece of linen for my inside page, and my idea, because it's about Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, it's about his life. He was so tied up in Le Moulin Rouge. And it's not about Le Moulin Rouge, except that he was almost singularly responsible for making it the desirable place among the jet setters of those days, the art community and the wealthy. And so I'm doing a page that's a French flag. And I'm going to imagine it in torn calicos in the colors of the French flag. And then I've got some vintage yo-yos from a yo-yo quilt I was lucky to procure, and some elements of red, white, and blue. And then I'm going to put Paris in that collaged page somehow, somewhere. And I'm still working out. It's going to be bunched and gathered. Tilly Rose, I have several of her books, does a technique of her collaging where she rips strips of fabric, and my strips are going to be red, white, and blue, and then I'm going to gather them each individually. I haven't decided if it's going to be pure white like the hanky on the left, or if it's going to be just a piece of muslin. I'm going to look at how it all kind of goes together, and then I'll put the yo-yos and the Paris piece on top. Now I've made myself another page, but I don't think I'm going to have time to finish it. I am so happy to report that I'm going back to work in a couple of days next week, and I will be working at least once a week during the month of February. So I'm going to get behind if I'm not careful. And so I'm only going to do a one-page insert, which means 4 pages. And so the flag will be one of them, and the others will be devoted to the amazing color range of Toulouse-Lautrec's of his paintings, but mostly his very saturated, beautiful colors, his amazing commitment to bold colors in his Impressionism, and the artists of that time. Now, you might think of him in relation to his posters for Le Moulin Rouge, with Can-Can Girls and guests at the inside the restaurant and showroom, strange lighting lit from below from the tabletops of odd dancing women and wealthy people drinking cocktails. I mean, there's really iconic paintings. So although I obviously can't recreate the paintings, I will try hard to find fabrics that I can recreate colorways. And so now we're just going to keep talking about all of this while we continue to sew my inside cover to my outside cover. I'm trying hard to, I'm using a blue, beautiful variegated blue Valdani. I was so fortunate. My daughter got me a bunch of beautiful Valdani threads for Christmas. And this one happens to be 207, H207 Valdani. It's almost a royal to navy blue, but it's variegated. But it's not variegated by much, so it doesn't go all the way to white. It just goes to a lighter blue, and it's just beautiful. So this is a square of linen fabric that you're seeing here in this corner. That's one of Rachel's beautiful linens that I bought from her, and so I'm doing this final inside cover page in Paris blue. It's in these lighter blues that were more of the floral paintings of Toulouse-Lautrec, and I have used a bit of hers, also some vintage yo-yos. I've used a piece of a doily that was sent to me by Sherry Iris in one of her Selvage Chronicles kits, and it's got some vintage embroidery on it and then a little bit of edging of crocheted lace. And so when we get around this corner and we get up to the lace bits, this is kind of a movie of failure. I literally look like I've never done this before. I had some challenges with all this lace that I put on the outside cover. I gathered the whole top of the front cover page with, I just cut off a strip of a square dresser cloth, and it had crocheted lace edging, and I gathered it like a can skirt across the top. So when we get around this corner, I'm having a lot of trouble getting through all of the layers because the outside cover is the serviette I described, and the layers of lace and whatever else embellishments I layered on top. And then it's because there are several pieces of lace layered on the cover page, and then the batting behind it to make sure there was some stability because the serviette was not very thick, and then the inside cover, which is a piece of linen with all the fabrics that I've layered onto the linen. So there's a lot of layers, and I had to try to avoid going through the lace because I didn't want this dark blue thread to show on the outside except laying underneath a piece of the lace. So I'm looking like I've never done this before because my left forefinger is pushing back the trim lace so that I don't catch it with the blue thread, and then I'm trying really hard to make sure that I'm going through all of the layers to whip stitch all of these things in place. So I'm a hilariously bad example of someone doing a really great job of working on this project. But you know what? It's kind of what it's all about, isn't it? It's sort of all of these lovely videos that I watched that are tagged Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 9, and it's the first book that we're working on. I want to say it's like episode 7, but we're not kind of following along. The way they're doing it is, I believe, they're doing one fabric book based on a favorite book of yours per month. And so I don't know if it's 5 months or 6 months, but it'll take us to summer, I think. And each month is committed to a different book. And as I've done so much work on this, but I've also been preparing for a class I have the last day of January down at Roxanne's in Carpinteria, and I'm really excited about that. We're making collaged hearts with feed sack fabrics, reproduction feed sacks, and so I've been working on that. Plus, I have to make my prototype for my next class, which is going to be really fun. I think we're going to make in late February for March and spring, we're going to make spring bunting, and it's going to be 3 slow stitched panels hung from cord or string or lace or ribbon, and some tattered, we'll probably use some sari silk tattered bits as well, and some strips that we tear from fabrics, but it's going to be 3 slow stitched panels. And I'm developing a little leaping bunny, I'm hand drawing a leaping bunny embroidery, and that I'm going to be transferring to pieces of linen from yet another bunch of linen serviettes for my kits. So I'm curating kits already for the end of February. So I'm going to get a little behind if I don't just keep at it. So you're just having to watch me kind of struggle through. And I am going to switch colors when I get over to the more neutral palette of the colors. But right now this blue, I just am loving using it. It's so beautiful on the page side that it's meant for, but I'm just trying to be extra careful to not make sure that it's seen, but still catch all the layers together. And you can see that is my gathered bit that's coming up, and that's going to be a challenge also. I'm going to switch to a wheat colored Valdani, and let me tell you what that is in advance. It's just gorgeous also. Also a gift from my daughter for Christmas. It's Valdani H206, and it's a perle. It's their crochet perle, beautiful, beautiful embroidery thread. And I vacillate between liking 12, liking 8, and sometimes even 5 if I can get it. But I just love their perle. And so it might be my favorite thread to use. I was treated to a bunch, like 3 boxes of beautiful, she did mostly autumn colors and earth colors and neutrals. Oh my gosh, you should see my threads. Oh, maybe you did. On my Instagram, I put a picture of them in a basket. Anyway, sipping my tea. So as we carry on, we're almost done with the blue, and then I'm going to tie off and switch, like I said, to the wheat color. But this continues to be a challenge. So let's talk about my book. I was busy yapping, and so I didn't really comment on the things that I was showing you on the inside. So the outside cover is another piece of Rachel fabric, and I have a piece of home deck fabric that's a very heavy weave cotton, and it's the dark kind of, I don't know, taupe with black that you can see that round disc printed with Musique de Paris. And so I found several elements of Paris that I cut out. That's where I found the words Les Moulins, which means the mills. And since the book's called Le Moulin Rouge, it's only one, Le, but Les Moulins I cut out, and then I just hand drew the facade from the Moulin Rouge, which means the red mill, and I just hand embroidered that to the cover with the windmill blades and the main body of the mill part of that. Here we go. I'm switching colors. I had it pre-threaded, which I'm happy to report. So I'm just going to tie off the blue and switch to wheat here in a minute, and then you'll get another shot of the cover with my little red embroidery. So the cover represents the can skirts gathered, and some beautiful Rachel fabric linen with the red mill embroidered on top, and the words Les Moulins, a piece of fabric I cut out that is sewn on top. And so that sort of starts us. But the book, again, is partially about the club, but more it focuses on Henri. And this poor guy, he died at 36 years old. This prolific, amazing, incredibly talented artist. Both of his parents were wealthy, and they were cousins. And he was born this great kid, very busy, very active, very perfect. And as he started to grow up, he started suffering from genetic diseases that were caused by the crashing of their chromosomes. Because they were related, he developed genetic disorders and eventually perished of them at 36. And he never grew to full height. As he became a teenager, he had more and more complications. He walked with a stick, a cane. He had poor vision. There were all kinds of things. But he became a member of that magical Paris artistic community. I think during the years he was in France, Vincent van Gogh was part of their group, but they would sit at cafes and they would insult each other and their artwork, but it was the birth of Impressionism, and jazz was involved, and the can was involved, and there were all this really passionate art resurgence, this amazing time of sort of the birth of Impressionism, but also all of these Cézanne, all these very, very famous artists were in the group, and they were all pals, and they would all just meet and hash things out and argue and whatever. And Henri did most of the posters, what in those times have been their advertisements, and all of his wealthy friends and patrons would come to the Moulin Rouge for the dance and for the chic, because it was very it burned down in I want to say 15 or 16, I think, and they rebuilt it to its previous elegance, but only the front facade and part of the stage, I think, was left after the fire, and the rest of the building had to all be rebuilt. But and even now you can go to shows, and apparently it is the flavor of Paris, and it's Montmartre is the area where it is located. It is part of their huge art community and bohemianism, and so apparently it still retains a lot of that elegance and artistic fame, and sort of during the times in America when it was prohibition, it was, like a shocking and amazing thing that you could go see something like that. There's a show that is always there, and I think I mentioned it. I'm about to show you my pages. I'm going to do one page on my linen that is red, white, and blue, like the color, like the flag of France. And they do a number where all of the costumes are the red, white, and blue of the French flag. And it is female can dance, but there's also men in this dance number. Not all they employ something like 1,500 people. It's an amazing place. But anyway, they have like 250 costumers and shoemakers. They build all the shoes for all the dancers, and they're these boots in red, white, and blue, and they're quite amazing. So I'm going to do this whole page of red, white, and blue as an homage not only to the flag of France, where Henri was born and raised and plied his incredible artistic trade, but also in honor of that number at the Moulin Rouge. So I have lots of ideas for the other pages, again, mostly of elements of the colors from his paintings. So now you can see this lettering. This is another piece of Rachel's fabric, this gray with the lettering. And it's sort of, harkens to the kind of lettering that Henri used in his posters for the Moulin Rouge. So I wanted that to be kind of behind the scenes. And then the round disc, I'm showing you the two different colors of Valdani threads. I've already told you the numbers. But that round disc behind says Musique Paris, and it's in a dress. So I thought it was a really fun little element to add to our Toulouse lettering. And I did a little bit of red, just sort of weaving to remind us of the cover of the beautiful embroidery of the actual red mill. And then I did some X's down the side, and I will duplicate that when I go around with the wheat colored thread, because now we're switching to wheat, and this is the center. I've got pins that are marking the center, and I'm using this wheat color because it goes really well. If it's seen on the other side, it'll be easier to hide in the neutrals, but this is my complicated part. This was really tricky, trying to I decided after putting a couple of X's in to stabilize along what will be the spine, the pins in the very middle in this, over where my thumb is the center section where I'll be adding the pages. So I need to make sure that I go through all the layers there's my ruffle on the very top, and Les Moulins, my hands covering the embroidery that we were just talking about, but there's the mill. But there's the ruffle, there's the can skirts. But I'm going to have to whip. I started to think maybe I'll whip stitch, and then I thought, you know what? No, I don't think so. I think it's better if I do a running stitch and just keep my finger on the cover, on the outer layer, and make sure that my needle doesn't go out through the lace, but that I running stitch just inside of the running stitch that holds the fabric to the linen on the inside cover page, and catch all through the layers. So that's what we're going to endeavor to do. We run into some trouble. Once again, a video of failure, sort of. Like I've never done this before. I had to actually really, really calculate how to do this and watch underneath, sometimes turning it back and forth for every stitch just to make sure that my stitches didn't go all the way through and interrupt my pretty can ruffle. I don't think there was a better way to do this, though. I really wanted the texture and the ruffle and all of that stuff before, and I had to do that before I sewed them all together. I couldn't have gathered it all and sewn down two little sections of gather, like ruching kind of, without doing it the way I did. So you just have to face challenges from time to time, and that's kind of all part of our practice, I guess, is learning to problem solve. Even if it isn't pretty, this is not about perfection. It's about imagination and following prompts and following instructions and doing it your way. And I wanted to, on that topic, talk about books. Most of the other artists I'm watching that are tagging these their beautiful projects are using other needlework books, needle artists' books as their book of choice to sort of do their iteration of someone else's style. And I love that idea, and I really considered it. But for me, I just thought, Rachel's doing Mandy Petula. I think maybe someone else is doing Mandy also. I can't remember, maybe Pam at Pandora's Junk Journals. But Corinne and Sarah Roxburgh are doing children's books, but I'm an avid reader. I fill all of my driving time with books on audiobooks, and I end my night with a little bit of reading before bed, it helps me relieve anxiety and stress and tension. I've always been an avid reader, and so I decided just to go back over my list of like my top 10 books and select a few that I thought I could recreate using fabrics and textiles and expression and creativity without being really literal. It's just for inspiration. And I think Rachel mentioned it this week in her video. Everybody is inspired by something, and it's all different for everybody. It's not about copying the book or doing, if you do Beatrix Potter, finding Beatrix Potter fabric. It's not about something quite so literal. It's more about your interpretation. So I've already got an idea for my next book for February. Are we telling? I don't know. I'll tell. One of my other favorite books is Secret Life of Bees, and I happen to have a whole bunch of bee fabric, all different kinds, beehives, honeycomb, and I have some gorgeous golden linen. So I'm starting to already anticipate a bee embroidery on my cover or on one of the pages, maybe on the cover. And so I think I might do Secret Life of Bees for February. But let's go back to January. Let's stay on task. Anyway, I'm really loving all the imaginative work. Also, Karen at Railway Cottage has developed her own character, and she's decided to use her book telling her character's story. His name is Angus, and he's the Railway Cottage engineer, I think, and I think he's a rabbit, and she has a little house for him that she's building, and it's amazing creativity at work, and she's decided to use her book to tell Angus's story. So her book isn't based on an outside book, it's based on her own imagination, and a book she may or may not write about her characters at the Railway Cottage. So see how everybody is so clever, and everybody is finding their way to put their own signature and twist on this great idea. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Rachel, girls, and Juju, I'm sure, was involved in the decision-making process. Thank you for thinking of this in a more bite-sized project coming off the giant Volume 8 quilt. This is a great idea and really a way for so many creative expressions. So anyway, I decided, like I said, to use literature instead of technique books, which I have piles of all around me and which I really enjoy. And the only reason is that I'm using it to sort of challenge myself to see how to interpret the inspiration from a story, something that is told like fiction. Although I guess the life of Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec is more biographical, and it's not fictional. It reads like that. It's very beautifully written. So I can't wait for my 50s copy to arrive. And it was a Christmas gift that somebody gave someone else. And so there's an inscription of the time in ink in the inside cover. And so I can't wait. Anyway, and it's a blue, like blue fabric cover, linen cover. So, and it's banged up. And I just am so excited to see it. I can't wait. So that's coming and that's happening. So anyway, we're kind of making our way. When I got to this round doily, I had to just sort of duck under it. I tried to get through once and all my layers didn't connect. I missed a few of the front layers. So I've been rambling on, so I wasn't really paying attention to where I was in the video, but I had to actually unthread my needle and pull the thread back a little bit. And again, I look like I've never done this before by the mistakes that I made, but it was because I was concentrating on too many things at once. And see, I did not get my layers going. So I had to duck through the round doily and dig deep with my needle between the layers to catch all of the layers and cover them. And I faced it again a little bit further down the road with a little bit more lace here, when all I was trying to do is just this running stitch in between the layers, catching all the layers, but a stitch that wouldn't show on the outside of the cover. And I will insert the photo from the beginning back at the end of the video also, I think, so that you can see that I was really happy with how this all turned out ultimately. And I was able to spend a little bit of time on my Paris page, which when I get back from work at the end of the week, I might do another video of a couple of more ideas if I can pull fabrics and get going on the other pages, besides my flag, my Paris flag page. That will be the second to the last page. It will be right next to this inside cover page, which is the Rachel fabric in the Paris blues, in the lighter Wedgwood kind of blues. So yeah, I was thinking I might do a French General page as one of them, because I have some lovely bits in the studio of beautiful French General fabrics. And they are in the reds, the redwork sort of reds, and Henri painted a lot using red, burnt brick red and deep burgundy red. And so maybe I'll be able to incorporate some French General, because why not? It's all about France. A French artist in a French place that is so intrinsically and historically linked to the history of France. Anyway, I'm going on, and I love hearing this when I watch videos, when I stitch of other people. So I've gotten all this far and I haven't asked, how are you? How's your progress on your Roxy's Journal Stitchery Volume 9, first book of the 2026 new year, first stitching prompts and projects of the new Roxy project? How's it going for you? I hope everybody is well. I hope that the news of our country, if you're from America, is not so daunting that you can't use the opportunity of our creative life to recenter us, prioritize, and bring us a little peace in a troubled time. For you people watching from other countries, I want to apologize for the devastation you're watching. And I read, without being too political, I read something from someone from Australia. A woman wrote a post demanding that Americans be more serious about the impact that what's happening in our country is making on the rest of the world, and the terror that it's causing in terms of peace, and the worry about trade and economy and war, the potential of war from all of the actions that are being generated in America right now. And so like I said, this is about sewing, it's not about politics. What I'm hoping is that our practice of slow stitching and our handwork and our creative life is getting us through our concern and perhaps stress and anxiety over the state of our country and the state of our world. And I really very much hope that all of you can find some time in the day to bring happiness and peace and joy into your world, even if it's for just a few minutes, even if it's in reading, in reading your favorite books, even if it's in stitching, even if it's a quiet moment with your animals around you, your family around you, your friends around you, whatever brings you joy. I hope that you'll take a moment or two to really embrace that and be grateful for it, because so many of the things that we fill our days with and surround ourselves with are absolutely our choice. And so I hope you're making good choices, people. I tell this to my daughter all the time, make good choices. Anyway, so let's see. My page that we're looking at in this orientation is upside down. But look, Rachel, at all your fabrics being represented. You're on the cover. You're inside the back cover. You're inside the front cover. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Sarah. Thank you again so much for this last summer in 2025, for the beautiful classes I took with you and the fun relationships and friendships I made. Lovely people I'm still in touch with all the way across the world. What an amazing time we live in. On the contrary, on the complete other hand, look at what an amazing time we live in and how much fun it is to be able to develop this online community. This is maybe my longest video ever. So I'm super hoping that if you've lasted this long, you are stitching along and sipping a tea. I have my favorite, which is currently, I'm obsessed with ginger turmeric tea, and I'm on my third cup of the evening. So anyway, let's see how much more we have to do. What are we working on now? Oh, this is just sort of the final bit. And here I ran into some trouble around the spine. I did in this round disc. It's sort of this is the very bottom edge, and this is the edge that is finished. So on the cover, I'm also going through a hem, because this is a hemmed edge of a napkin, which was the cover base fabric. So I kept going through, trying to thread on with my running stitch and missing layers. So I had to redo this a couple of times. And I ended up just whip stitching it from the front. In addition to the running stitch, I just turned it over and whip stitched back, because where the spine needed to be extra stable anyway. And this little insert of fabric under my thumb is a brocade I found. I think that also came from a Sherry Iris packet, if I'm not mistaken. A little scrap of beautiful, shiny brocade fabric. But it was it frays a lot. So as I finished getting through it, I just decided, you know what, I didn't connect the layers. It didn't catch. So I just decided, finish it up. Why, rethread everything all over again? I'm just going to whip stitch from the front. So I finished, oh wait, no, this one I did pull out. Maybe I did it twice, maybe. Wow. I had to pull the threads out twice because I didn't catch all the layers. Shoot. But see what I mean? I guess it's part of the process to cheerfully figure out solutions or go back and correct it. I hear other stitchers all the time saying stuff like, later on I decided I didn't like the color of the thread, so I pulled it all out. I took it all out. Or I didn't really like that applique, so I just took it off. I cut it all off. And it's a decision we get to make. And that's why they call it slow stitching. I guess there's really no rush. We impose our own deadlines, but I guess there's really no rush. So I rethreaded, I'm back again. And again, I do a running stitch, and I think I still miss some of it. And so I think I went back and we'll just turn it over and whip stitch just along the spine. And I watched Rachel today do her spine with a bookbinding 3-hole technique that I usually do a running stitch, or I do it in signatures. But since I'm only going to have one page insert, I might do it her way and then just tack down top and bottom. But I'm still really struggling in my own sewing with I'm a costume builder, and I make personal accessories that are purses and things like that, a lot of bags and pouches. And I'm very mindful that I don't want the straps to fall off. I put way too much in my bags and totes and my crossbody bags and stuff. So I'm always super careful about triple sewing it, making it really stable, and back and forth, or 2 inches of overcasting instead of 5 stitches. So I keep forgetting in slow stitching, I'm not wearing this. I'm not putting it through the laundry. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the whole point. It has to be creative. And see, I'm going, oh, no, I missed a little bit. Oh, shoot. Okay, forget it. We're just going to whip stitch the whole thing. But as I was saying, this is only going to get looked at, and maybe only by me. I don't know. It's just going to get enjoyed, and it's the process of making it that's important. It doesn't have to hold together for centuries. So I always overdo it, and I'm trying really hard to be more, I guess, minimalist. And I need to go back. I have a couple of Mandy Patullo's books. I maybe need to go back and look at her work and be reminded that sometimes simplicity is the ticket. Too many layers, too many elements, too many stitches. Sometimes it's just about featuring the fabric. It's just about a beautiful fabric, or in the case that I've been watching Rachel work on, her gorgeous shredded vintage historic fabrics. It's about featuring those things, stabilizing those things, and having a precious place I have it on my desktop, in my sewing area of my desktop. I have a really pretty little project I saw on Pinterest that says "A Place for Precious Things," and it's on the flap of a slow stitched pouch. And I keep it there because sometime I'm going to use that little embroidered phrase in my work. A place for precious things is the perfect way to describe what these little books are about. It's for your favorites, your thoughts, your memories, what the story or the book or the designer means to you, how they impact your own creative journey, and all of that. Those are precious things. And so these little books are a place for precious things. So anyway, I think I'm getting to the end of it here, and I think hopefully I'm just going to tie off, and then we will take another quick look at front and back, I hope. And hopefully you guys have not minded me rambling on and on and on, and that you've been able to do a few stitches yourself. I want a word on my cute little snowflake pincushion. That was a Christmas ornament I found in a friend's shop. Okay, here we go. There's Les Moulins. There's my embroidery of the mill. There's my layers and layers of lace and vintage yo-yos. There's my Rachel fabrics and my French blue page on the right. That's marking the middle spine, so I can just keep that in mind. But all the pins are out, and we're done. And that's what my book is going to look like, and that's the back cover. I'm really excited to start working on the pages and get a little more work done. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope that you've had some fun. I sure have. This is Beth Maitland with Drama Queen Bee Quilts. Join me again soon for something else.